Hello, I'm going to demonstrate how to make aspen trees with black paint and a piece of cardboard. Pretty easy, pretty fun, new technique. You don't have to use a brush all the time, you can use other things. So what I have here is a little bit of black tempera paint, a little piece of cardboard. I always like to use the end that has the holes, not the wide end, the narrow end. I'm just going to dip it, give it a little tap so it's not drippy. I'm going to start at the bottom of my page and I'm just going to put it down and make a little flick going that direction. Then I'm going to line it up, do it again. Keep going, just a little flick. I'm sort of lifting my hand after I flick so it's not like a big smear. I'm not smearing it. Doesn't matter if it's really light because aspen trees are pretty light. Just want to get that outline. I'm going all the way to the top. Now I'm going to do the other side of the tree because this is just one side. So now I'm going to flick again, but I'm going to go that direction. So I'm going to line it up and flick it towards the center. So they're going like that. Line it up, give it a flick. And it'll give it a little bit of texture there so it's really nice and tree-like. Keep going. There we go. All the way up. I'm going to do a couple more. So you don't need a lot of paint to do this. It's just a little bit. And I'm going to go a little bit faster because I've done this 100 times. You can go slow, place it, flick. You don't want to rush. You can go skinny, skinny, skinny. I'll show you how to overlap in a second. Let's say you have a tree off in the distance. You don't want it to start at the bottom. Maybe you want to start it off up here and just make a little tiny little flicks going up because it's far away so it looks skinnier and it would be far away, so you want to raise it up on your frame here. Now, let's say you have one that's really close. You wanted it bigger to show that it's near, so you can show distance and depth and space, all that good stuff. So I go wider and we have a bigger tree. Place it, flick, flick, flick. I need a little bit more. So you can already start to see the distance, far, near. If you want one leaning, if you want overlap, you can do that. I'll show you that in a second. Let me do one more tree. If you want to do a little branch, just little tiny flick, little tiny flicks up. You can almost just tap it on there too, like I did there. Now, if you want to do overlap, let's say you have a tree behind another tree. Then you're just gonna, maybe it's falling. You could have a falling tree. See how I stopped there? And then I continued on the other side. I can keep going. Oops, that's a little too much paint. See what happens? It gets a little blobby. Then I could do the other side. And you want it to go all the way to something, so mine's going to go off the page. That one's falling down. And if I wanted to do another one off sort of far, I could do this. See how I stop? Start on the other side. You don't want your trees to look see-through, so you want to make sure when you're overlapping that you stop when you're going behind something. You got to stop it because you can't see it if it's going behind something, right? So I think I have enough trees on here. So what I do is let it dry a little bit. It dries pretty fast. And then I could use some watercolors. And the important thing about adding watercolor to it is you've got to have clean water. And you can decide what you're going to paint, like where your ground is going to be and what color it's going to be. Maybe I could just draw a little line here so I know. Oh, I got to have it touch that one, don't I? So I could go up a little higher. And so I could fill all the bottom part in with green. Add a little clean water to your watercolor so it'll spread nice. And just start filling in. You gotta make sure you don't paint on the trees though. Oops. Mistakes happen, artists. You keep going. Keep going. We could try and fix things later, or maybe it'll work out the way it is. I like it really watery. The more water I have, the lighter the paint is. I like it nice light color. If I have less water, I could get a darker green, a little bit darker. So I'm trying to be careful not to get into the black there too much. Fill in here. Don't forget the little spaces in between and all down here. And I know you've heard me say this 100,000 times, but the sky touches the earth if there's nothing blocking the way. So I'm going to finish up down here. And if you want to, you can add in some other colors if you wanted to add a little blue in there. Just to give a little variety, maybe a little bit of purple. Show a little shadow. Okay, and then we do the sky. The sky can be blue. And of course, the sky comes all the way down to the ground. Touches. Because there's nothing blocking it. So there's no line of blue at the top. Oh, I could use this blue a little bit too. And swirl it in. So that's what's nice about watercolors, is being able to swirl some other colors in. Look how dark that blue is compared to that blue. So I want to fix that because that won't look quite right if one section's a little bit darker, and that happened because I didn't have as much water on there. So I just dip in the water and spread that paint around without dipping in again. Maybe add some over here to fix that. Okay, so you just keep going. Oops, well, I could use some of that too. Make sure you don't go through your trees. Just real watery. That's a narrow place, there we go. And you can do sunset colors, you could do whatever you like, because you are the artist. I'm just showing you a new technique, new way to paint without always using a brush, and you get a really cool texture effect on some trees. And just pay attention. I'm going a little fast now, but when you're painting, you got to make sure you don't go through the trees. You don't want to paint through the bark. So don't do too many trees if you're worried about that. Leave big spaces in between. Okay, one more section over here. Down here, all the way to the ground. Need a little more water. If it doesn't spread, just dip a little water in there. Look at how nice and cloudy that gets. Okay, it's okay if it blends in a little bit here and here. Not a big deal. Okay. Now, if you want to, and some of the leaves have fallen, you can just get some paint on your brush, maybe some yellow or some orange. Maybe you can mix a color over here. Get some gold and just touch it in different places. Little leaves. And she'll fall. Get a little red in there. So there you go. You just keep going with that. You can mix a little on the lid, that's not a big deal. And you don't want to do too much. You don't want to go crazy with it and take away from your textures and your background and all that. You could even put some up at the top if you needed to. Around the branches maybe. They're really light though. That's, voila, the Aspen painting with a piece of cardboard, watercolors. And it's lovely. Don't forget your name on it before you even start, especially if you are a student in a classroom. Have a nice day.